Hi everybody, I'm Steve McDonald and this is your Investors Daily Edge midweek market update. Well, the topics in focus today are global equities, commercial real estate, healthcare, oil, and a quick look at the TARP program. But first, it's slap in the face award time, and this week's is so blatant that we have to do it first. This one is beyond belief. It goes to Gary Locke. If you don't know who Mr. Locke is, he's President Obama's Commerce Secretary. Maybe we should make this the Obama's Political Stooge or Political Hack Award of the week. Last week, Locke stated that the huge charges large corporations had to take because of the changes made in the new healthcare legislation were not real and were, and I quote, hype and overheated rhetoric. In fact, the charges were required by law, by the IRS, to accurately reflect the real costs that affect earnings because of the changes to the prescription drug plans for retired persons in the new legislation. And Mr. Locke knew it. He stood in front of the whole world and tried to make his president's garbage look like large cap companies were trying to lie for political purposes, when in fact he was the liar. My comparison of this administration's tactics to the brown shirts in the early 30s in Germany is getting more and more real every week. If the truth doesn't suit them, they make up some sleazy lie and spread it all over the media. The media, by the way, who are still waving pom-poms for Obama rather than reporting what's really happening. And they bank on the citizens' limited understanding of this bill and its contents to slip it by. This is very scary, folks. The next part of this story is even more outrageous. Locke wanted the reporting companies, Caterpillar, GE, companies like that, to report future possible earnings. Repeat, not real or even estimated earnings, but future possible savings. Now, to make the healthcare bill look like it really does save money, which it doesn't. That is what the Wall Street Journal called Enron-style accounting, and we all know what that did for us. Thank you, Mr. Locke and Mr. Obama. What size brown shirts do you guys wear? Stand by for more on Friday. Okay, let's get on to some real news. Global equities. These are companies with worldwide market exposure, exactly the type we have been talking about in Sound Profits for almost a year. They appear to be undervalued with PEs in the 12 to 14 times area. That's not dirt cheap, but it's still a good buy. Now here at Sound Profits, we stand by our position that this is where you have to be to make money in the equities going forward. That's the next 5 years. Companies like the ones that we've been recommending in Sound Profits, like Caterpillar, U.S. Steel, Alcoa, GE, and many others. The worldwide recovery has become an expansion. This is the focus now, not surviving, but expanding. Get in on this. It won't be a perfect ride up, but it will be a ride up. Healthcare is next. Speaking of expanding, 30 million new customers, all paid for by you and me. Even after 2 weeks, I can't say that without laughing. Obviously, Congress isn't going to listen to us, so we might as well make some money on it. Ted Paralakis, one of the IDE analysts, and in fact he's our options analyst, was on our video last Friday, and he talked about the huge opportunities in the big pharma, hospitals, and medical devices. In the past, these folks had to eat losses from people who received medical care but could not pay for it. Now they will be paid for by us, and their numbers could go crazy. An additional 30 million people is a lot of new paying customers, and these are paying customers, folks. Look at Tenet Healthcare, which Ted mentioned, or any of the big pharmaceutical companies or device makers like Medtronic or Merck. The list is endless. You can pick just about any of them. Keep this on your radar screen. It's going to be big. Commercial real estate's up next. William Mack of Mack Cali, it's a huge commercial real estate firm, stated on Squawk Box that the bottom is already here in commercial real estate. And it's the late 80s all over again. Now, if you weren't here for the late 80s, this commercial real estate crisis right now is unfolding just like that one did. Mack also said for more bottoming, to expect more bottoming, to moderate expansion here. There are early signs of easier credit, and while there are still fewer loans being made than in the boom years, it is improving. Now, it's all about consumer confidence and jobs. These are still key to a big move in commercial real estate, residential real estate, and in most areas. Keep an eye on these numbers, consumer sentiment, spending, and jobs. Right now, you can buy commercial real estate at replacement cost. That means if the house burns down or the building burns down, what it costs just to replace it. Now, that means as the economy recovers, there will be huge profits on the table from the properties being bought right now. As I said a few weeks ago, follow the real estate companies who are buying in this market. Wait for the good news to be reported, and you will have missed the boat on this one. Oil. Some people don't like to say I told you so. I'm not one of them. I told you in early January when oil was at $72 to $73 a barrel to buy oil, and that $95 a barrel is right around the corner, and it's just starting to run. I think it's going to go a lot higher. Take a look at this month's sound profits. It should have been out yesterday. That would have been Tuesday. I have a play in there on oil that I think could return 10 times your money in the next year or two. The ETFs on oil will do fine, but I recommend a leap play that will blow you away. You got to look at this one. Lastly, TARP. TARP is showing a profit, just as I said it would in an IDE article last year. Excuse me. I compared the TARP to the bailout of the savings and loan industry in the late 80s and the early 90s. That made money too. Try these numbers on for size so far in TARP. The TARP has an 8.5% annual return to the federal government. They made $244 billion in loans to 440 firms. 49 firms have already paid back $118 billion of the $244 billion. Now, a $4.95 billion annual dividend from the interest being paid on TARP is going to the government, $4.95 billion, and $5.8 billion profit has been made so far. That includes any losses that we've taken. Now, there are more bumps coming in this program, but this, as predicted, has been a big moneymaker for the U.S. government. All I can think now is, I wonder what they're going to spend it on. I'll see you all Friday. Rusty McDougall is going to be our guest in the Friday video. He's our resident gold bug. So if you have an interest in gold or investing in precious metals, make sure you tune in. For everybody here at Investors Daily Edge, I'm Steve McDonald. We'll see you Friday.